my name is Luke Walsh and welcome to EDTV News. The headlines for this bulletin are Successful Sustainability Live, The Waste Review a Waste, London Clean-up underway, Scrapping EU energy reduction targets, and finally, Why you should wee in the sea. A successful Sustainability Live saw 9,000 people through the doors of Birmingham's NEC. One of the major talking points of the show was the Environment and Energy Awards. Figures support the claims that it was the best year yet, with a 40% increase in attendees. The night was celebrated by a huge crowd of the industry's finest, celebrating innovation and excellence at the black tie event.
I'm Simon Graham, I'm the Environmental Strategist at Commercial. We have been awarded the NQA Environmental Leadership Award for Cultural Change. There's a lot of good companies out there doing a lot of good things, mostly in that very difficult balance between innovating and challenging and putting things forward which are good technologies and techniques which make things work really well. And also, on the other side, looking at the way that staff keep engaged and making sure that people feel responsible and able to make the changes that are necessary. What I think is very important is the way that we've managed to change the whole way of working so that sustainability is really embedded into the culture, so it becomes part of the DNA. And that's one of the reasons why we got the award, I believe, is that we've managed it through a lot of innovative programs. Our Green Angels program, which is a rolling schedule so that you have a new group of people as your sustainability champions.
My name is Paul Moran from Harper Adams University College, and I've just been awarded the ESTA Energy Manager of the Year award. I think this award has come to us in recognition of a whole series of projects that we've done to, I suppose, be more sustainable in our operation, which has accumulated recently in the development of a new anaerobic digester, which is projected to save 15,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide per annum, which will make us more than 3 times carbon neutral.
Karen Taylor from Hampshire Cosmetics. I'm the Environmental and Ethical Manager. I won Environmental Manager of the Year for changing the culture in the workplace and reducing utility usage.
Drilling and Tapping also held its preliminary rounds at the NEC. Disappointment is building around the government's waste review announcement as industry reaction to the document emerges. Many commentators believe the review lacks teeth, with no new targets or legal drivers announced. Some have called it a light touch approach to future waste management in England, warning that its focus on voluntary agreements does not go far enough. Edie caught up with Boris Johnson's new Environment Director, Calvia Ranger, as he launched a new clean-up of London ahead of the Olympics. The launch marks the start of a 2-month drive to clear up rubbish hotspots, remove graffiti and make over public spaces ahead of the 2012 Olympic Games and Paralympic Games. I'm here with Calvia Ranger at the start of an environmental clean-up in time for the Olympics and Paralympics. Can you tell us exactly what's going on today?
Well, today's the start of a 6-week capital clean-up, which is something that's been going on for 5 years, but it's grown and grown and grown. And Boris is really keen about, and I think most of Londoners are, that when we've got the Olympics coming up next year, that we do all we can to make our city as clean and tidy as possible. So working with Clean Up, Keep Britain Tidy and other charities like Thames 21 and a number of local schools and local campaigners, we've set up this 6-week programme where we're going to be out and about cleaning up areas like this little alley behind us, which is an eyesore. It's also a fire hazard, which is why you can see firefighters here today, and has loads of litter picking and various things that are going on to make sure that we get rid of these eyesores and get rid of this rubbish.
If I want to get involved, what's the best way to go about it?
The best way is to go to the GLA website, where you'll see Capital Cleanup there, and there you can say, right, getting involved in we'll have lots and lots of these activities happening over the next 6 weeks, and you and a group of friends can come down and, spend a couple of hours, make an afternoon of it, even a day if you can spare the time. And it's just about saying, we know people want to see things happening in their local area, and boroughs and the GLA and the mayor do what we can, but there's nothing like people saying themselves that we've seen something that's a problem and we want to clean it up.
Edie also spoke to Matt Harrington of the London Fire Brigade about the dangers presented by fly tipping.
Yeah, obviously London Fire Brigade think the Clean Up Capital campaign is an important campaign just to make the livability of the area a nicer place to live. But also we have a stronger message, which is actually rubbish dumps and fly-tipped rubbish is a massive fire risk. In my opinion, it's an unlit bonfire, and it can be a target to arsonists to set fire. And if we have a fire in these areas, obviously that fire can spread into property and cause damage to residential areas, plus also injure people and possibly even kill people. So this is why it's a big, strong campaign for us, because we want to come down, support the Clean Up Capital campaign, but also reduce the risk of rubbish fires in London.
So we've got major fires in Dorset at the moment. And how much of a problem is it in London?
Rubbish fires are a massive problem. Last year we had over 8,000 rubbish fires, and this is by people dumping rubbish, it not getting moved away or cleared up, and then arsonists or potential arsonists coming along, setting fire to it, and we responded to that, as I said already, 8,000 times last year. We have got the number down with awareness campaigns like this, but this is where we want to get involved in more things like this to bring attention to it. What we want is people to think twice before dumping rubbish, but secondly, we want people to actually, if they see rubbish, report it to the council, get the rubbish removed, and then make their area a nicer place to live, but also make it safer for them as well.
You said people can report it to the council, but if they want to get involved more directly, should they speak to you or should they get in touch with?
Certainly, yes, they can come to their local fire station. We'll give them fire safety advice. We also give advice when it comes to rubbish. If you are moving rubbish out and it's not in a wheelie bin, only move it the night before the bin people are going to come and collect it. Also, when you leave rubbish out, don't leave it in exit routes. Obviously, if it does catch a light, then you're stopping your way out of your property. But there's plenty of other advice that your local fire station could give you. But also, if you go to your local council, they'll give you advice on how to actually get that rubbish removed.
If you live in London and you want to get involved in the clean-up, contact your local council or local fire station. Influential think tank Policy Exchange says it's time to scrap European Union renewable energy production targets. The right-wing think tank, well known to be a favourite of Prime Minister David Cameron, has called for a rethink of how Europe tackles climate change. In the report, Climate Change Policy, Time for Plan B, the think tank strongly argues for the European Union should retain its existing 2020 emissions reduction targets, but it calls for abandoning the EU's 2020 renewable energy target, calling it unnecessarily expensive route to meeting carbon reduction goals, which distorts spending in favour of rapid deployment of immature technologies. Edie is to run another free webinar, this time working with the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology. The launch webinar takes place on the 7th of July at 11 AM. For more information, go to www.ed.net/webinar. And finally, why you should wee in the sea if you want to help climate change. The International Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, expert meeting is taking place about now. Although it's always hard to predict exactly what they're going to say, geoengineering is likely to feature highly. One of these options is a machine which basically puts human processed urine into the sea to feed and attract plankton. This will encourage plankton to breed, and as their increased numbers then die, the process of decomposition should help cool the ocean and therefore mitigate global warming.